Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Classic Conversations. I'm going to be your host today, Hager, aka Gur, and I'm going to be interviewing Izzy here with a bunch of questions, some fun, some weird, some serious. So before we get started, how are we doing today?
I'm doing okay. Great intro.
How do you feel with the role reversal right now?
You're gonna do just fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right, so we'll just go straight away to the questions. So the first question I got for you is when I first moved to Calgary about 7 years ago, first week, I think, you sent me a picture of a bag of Doritos. It was like a dill flavored bag of Doritos and like a ketchup flavored bag of Doritos. Now,
Mhm.
my question to you is who sent you this and where did you find it? Because I've looked every day for like 7 years whenever I'm out in stores and no one's ever heard of this.
Yeah, no, it was actually my friend Crystal who sent me a picture of it, and then I heard that it was available in Canada, so that's why I sent you the picture, hoping that you can get me some. But apparently, you don't have it up there. I don't know what's
I've
going
been looking like legitimately, I've been spending like the past 7 to 8 years just like looking for them. And anytime I'm out, whether at like a 7-Eleven or like we have like a version called Circle K here, I'll go to like the supermarkets, I'll even go to like the superstores and like nobody has. I'm like, where did you find these flavors? Because like I'm genuinely curious. Or is it like an exclusive to like Montreal kind of thing, like an East Coast thing?
on. I have no idea. That's that's just I was hoping that you could help me out with it, but hey, if you can, it's cool.
So the other question then becomes, does it have to be the Doritos flavor or like were you cool with like any variation of the dill pickle and ketchup chips? Because we got those, like definitely have them.
I personally don't care because, like I said, my friend who I like consider a sister, Crystal, she wanted them. Like she's in love with like dill pickles and ketchup chips and all that crap. So I was trying to get them for her, but
The condiment flavored chips. Just put those instead of like the actual condiments in a sandwich, just have like the layer of like tomato, but instead of tomato, it would be like ketchup chips.
that's funny. No, yeah. So that's pretty much it. Like I like ketchup, but I would not eat a potato chip that tastes like ketchup.
Fair.
Personally.
That's fair. All right. So we'll move on to the second question here. And that was we've had this conversation kind of in the past, but we haven't actually gone in depth with it. It was a superpower related question. And the question we had talked about is loosely, if you could have any superpower, what would you be? What would that superpower be? And how would you, like if it was a genie, for example, who was giving you the wish, how would you grant it so that there wasn't any catchbacks?
Um, oh man, what superpower would I have? That's actually a really good question. Probably the power to stop and rewind time specifically, not to fast forward time, but to stop and rewind it. Um,
So when you say stop and rewind it, would you be able to would you be allowed to alter the shape of things as it was in that moment? Or like let's go into
um,
detail with that.
I yeah, I would probably alter a few things because, for example, like if I had the power to rewind time, I would bring back my father because
Mm,
I really didn't to spend enough time with him because he died when I was 8. So of stomach cancer. So I didn't really get to not spend enough time with him. And I always wonder what it would be like to kind of, uh, you know, for him to see me grow up into the man that I would become and how different
mm,
my life would be if he were actually here. So
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, that's a really good point. If I was to ask you what your five bucket item list items would be, what would they be?
my five my 5 bucket list items, like something
Yeah.
I would want to do before I die.
Or just in general, just something you want to do in your life. Like I recently had one of them crossed off of my list. And that was I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. And in Calgary, we had like a sighting like earlier this week with like a meteor shower the very next night. And I was like, yo, this is definitely a check mark on my list. So yeah. What would top 3 to 5 items be on that
Oh
list for
man,
you?
there's so many. Probably to star in a Marvel movie because I'm a huge comic book fan. Um,
Of course. Absolutely.
uh,
Any one specifically?
probably, hmm, if I had my choice, probably the Avengers, like an Avenger movie.
Hmm.
But I'd be the
Hmm.
villain though, because I like being the bad guy.
Really?
Yeah. Um,
What would be your like super evil plot? What would your plan be?
um, man, so similar to Thanos, but uh, just they wouldn't be able to be brought back with the Infinity Stones. Like once they're gone, they're gone.
That's fair.
Let's see. Probably uh to go uh to go on tour and entertain people like with my stories because I have some pretty awesome stories and like pretty serious ones, but pretty awesome ones too. So, and I like entertaining people. So probably just to go on a nationwide tour.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Um, anything else on my bucket list? Hmm. Ah, this is gonna sound really weird, but uh, I'd actually like to go on one date with Halle Berry because
Really?
yeah.
Why Halle Berry of all the actresses in Hollywood?
Oh man, no, I've always had a crush on Halle Berry. Swordfish, Monsters Ball, man, don't get me started. Yeah. So that would be like 3 things on my bucket list. Can't think of any more right now.
That's fair. Okay, so to follow up to that kind of something you kind of touched up on about like being able to change things, if there was something you wish people would be able to change when interacting with you, what would that be?
That's actually a really good question. Like the perception, like sometimes when people meet me or they like when they interact with me, they're always like afraid to like ask me like certain things. Like they always think that they'll offend me with whatever they ask. So
Hmm.
it's like, don't be afraid to ask me anything. I'm pretty open, as you can see.
Of
So
course.
yeah, just don't be afraid to ask me anything. If you wanna like if I don't feel like answering it, I'll tell you that I don't feel like answering it. That's pretty much it. Just
Do you feel like people like often like does it feel like it's a belittlement when people like address things with you, or is it more of like just condescending or insincere? Like what's the how
oh
does I because I can't relate in that sense. Like I can only talk about my experiences, right? So like for you, how does that affect you?
um it kind of makes me mad because like I said, I'm really open with whatever you ask. So it's like just come with it. Like don't worry about offending me. I'm pretty sure that what you have to say won't offend me because I've pretty much heard everything that like a person could you can throw at somebody, and like I have pretty thick skin if I do say so myself. So
Hmm. Hmm. So another question I have, it's a little bit more on like the serious side.
mhm.
Um, what's the hardest thing about being a person with a disability?
Oh man, just having to constantly prove people wrong. I mean, like, because I've heard a lot of times all my life I've heard, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not gonna be able to. For example, in the fourth grade, I was told by an educator that I would never make it to high school because I grew up with a learning disability. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then like, I wasn't supposed to hear that, but indirectly I heard it, and it's like, for what? Like, that kind of hurts as a kid, trying to, like,
Oh
somebody
yeah.
that's supposed to encourage your, you know, creative side and want to bring out the best in you. It's just it sucks to hear that, but ever since then I said I was gonna prove them wrong, or whoever, you know, doubted me, I was gonna prove them wrong, and I have. So that it just kind of sucks.
Is there any outshine, like any moments that outshine when you were able to overcome obstacles that people would put onto you? Is there any moment that you can like that stands out for you?
Um, Probably the biggest example of that is, my graduation from undergrad at John Jay, because prior to that I had suffered like two life-threatening injuries, and then being able to overcome everything and graduating, it was just that moment. Like, I remember that day looking up at the sky as my name was called, and like looking up at my dad and saying, Dad, I did it.
And that must have been an amazing feeling, I bet.
Yeah, it was kind of cathartic, because after, when I got backstage, after my name was called, I cried a little bit.
Oh wow. Oh wow. That's tough. Um, a little bit on a lighter side. I know we've talked about WWE a lot too. If there could be one thing you would love for people to know who might not be into it, what would be one thing you would want people to keep in mind, or to try out, or to engage with in the world of WWE?
um as far as wrestling goes, I just want everybody out there to know that, I am a trained professional wrestler. I went to school. I did it. It hurts. It's not fake like you see on television, like you might think so on television. It hurts. Everything hurts. As far as wrestling goes, just enjoy it, because it's a it's an art form. We tell a story with our bodies and through words. So just enjoy the art form. And
That's fair.
you're not gonna please everybody in the professional wrestling industry, because people are gonna have their opinions, just like with movies and everything like that. So just stop trying to please everybody and enjoy it.
Another one to follow up with that is the persona. What would you characterize would be like the ideal persona for yourself if you could go back into it professionally?
um Probably just rehash my old, like, kind of reinvent my old character, which was like, in the wrestling business, your character that you are in the ring is basically you, like how you are in reality, with the volume turned up. So that's the best way to put it. So I'm kind of my heel my character is kind of a heel, which is wrestling terminology for bad guy. So um
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty fun, when you got fans cursing you out and stuff like that, and wanting to throw stuff at you when you're leaving the show. You don't take that as, being being scared. If that happens, you're doing your job.
Of course. It's living up to the expectations of you being the
Mhm.
evil guy. That's the compliments. That's the ego, right?
Yeah, and like, for me, like, I can be like the nicest guy ever, but I can also be I can also be an asshole if pushed to that point. So yeah,
What would be the biggest a-hole move that you could think of?
that I've that I've had as a wrestler or just as a
Yeah, yeah. Let's go with it as a wrestler. Let's keep it
man,
within the realm of PG.
yes, so many. Um, like this one time, this kid was like every time I would do something in the ring, he would kind of yell out, "You suck" and everything like that. And then I remember yelling at him. Uh, no, I'm not. Oh shit, should I? Can I say that? You know what? I'm gonna say it. So I
Go
remember
ahead, it's your show.
uh, he was yelling, "I suck," and then I was like, and then I was like, yeah, and then I yelled to the kid as I had my opponent in a rest hold, which is a hold that you would use like if you want to take a rest. So it's a literal, it's like something literal in the sense of the term. So
Hmm.
as I'm as I have my opponent in a rest hold, he kept yelling, "I suck." So I'm like, yeah, and so was your mother last night or something like that. So then as some like all of a sudden you hear the crowd booming, but then I look over and the kid's got tears in his eyes, like I just said like the worst thing ever. So
Damn.
then so then so then I finished the match, and then after the match, like I had to kind of break character and kind of give the kid a hug or something like that, because I kind of made him cry. So that was pretty funny.
That sounds hilarious, but also like it's good that you have that kind of empathy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. And then the last serious question is during the past year, we talked a lot about COVID and how this was affecting you. Would you want to change anything from the past year, or do you think that this has helped you grow as a person emotionally, physically, and mentally?
Um, man, no, actually, I wouldn't change anything. Like I had COVID and it sucked, but at the same time,
You had it multiple times, correct?
yeah, I had it twice. So I wouldn't change the fact that I had it because it showed just how strong I truly am, like
Mhm.
physically and emotionally, because that can take a toll on you, uh, in both ways. I had to
Mhm.
kind of gain my strength back and all that good stuff, and then the emotional toll. I don't think we need to talk about that. We both know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything. It would just show me how strong I truly am, and I'm grateful for it. I mean, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but I'm grateful for that experience, as weird as that may sound.
No, I completely understand. I mean, I could like I think last time we were talking about it, I was kind of in the same boat. Like it allows people to kind of self-reflect and get back to the things they may have either otherwise they may have lost or just gives you a new perspective on things. And I felt like with our conversations, I was getting that from you as well. But it's always something that I always wonder, like if you could change anything in the past year, would you want it twice? Would you prefer just to keep it as it was at that one time, or do you feel that helped you grow as a person because of it?
I've done a lot of growing up these past couple of years. Used to be
Mm-hmm.
real immature and not really give a shit about anybody's feelings, and I'll gladly admit it because, like I said, I own it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't admit that, then you like that's part of the problem. If you can't admit it, so can't admit your faults, then it's part of the problem. Uh,
That's fair.
so I I've kind of grown a lot in that sense, and still got a little bit of work to do. But I'm better than I was yesterday, and that's all that counts for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The last question I have with you is regarding your book. I know recently you've been working on that and you've been come pretty far. I'm pretty sure you're finished with the manuscript, if I was correct from the last
Yeah,
time
yeah,
we
yeah.
talked.
yeah, it's
What is one thing you really want your readers to take away from the book?
damn, you really are good at this. What do you call it?
You
No.
forget this is my background.
All right. So yeah, she's no joke. What do you call it? No, so in all seriousness, the one thing that I want people to take away from reading my book is, don't find me inspirational. Because I feel like everybody goes through things, and I want you to ask yourself this when you consider me to be inspirational or not. Uh am I inspirational because you know my situation and you know the things I've been through, or are you calling me inspirational just because of the wheelchair? If the answer to the number two question is that's the answer to your question for number two, the second part of that question, then you're doing it wrong because you're looking at the wheelchair rather than the person. So, and I don't want my circumstances
Mhm.
to define me. I want to define my circumstances. So that's one thing that I would say to you as you're going to read this. And another thing, if I can help one person going through a similar situation with my story, and give them a little bit of hope, then that's what I want. That's the job is done then. You know.
That's very fair, and that's very honest of you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that, and a little piece of you with me. Do you have any questions for me? This is where I flip it to you, or comments.
No, you're really good at what you do. And like like I told you privately, you were the only person that I would give this interview to because I feel like you're the only person that could do it, that would do it justice, and you certainly have. And it was my absolute honor to answer all your questions.
Oh, I'm honored that you would allow me to be able to that you'd even thought about me for asking these questions and for being able to open up about these topics. I know some of them can be hard, but I do appreciate it.
No.
Now, this is a part of the segment where we always end with a plug. Anything you want to plug in for the future for your audience?
Well, man, just subscribe to my channel, The Classic Chronicles, to catch this interview and so much more fun stuff. Got a new vlog that drops tomorrow and every Monday and Wednesday, as a matter of fact. So, check those out. And yeah, the book is coming soon, and hopefully we get that tour going that I talked about earlier. If it does happen, then come see me in a city near you. That's pretty much it for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good. All right. And that's our segment.
Oh man. Yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one. Well, I will catch you on the next one.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace.